So we're gonna have Tamsin Flanders and also visiting to talk about the Whately Farm Plan, and we're gonna have Erica Roper here with, I think, Amy LaValle to talk about another project. So I'm kind of thinking here on the agenda. Has everyone had a chance to look at the March minutes?
Yep.
Okay, I have a small edit. Which just kind of makes a couple of details more general.
Mhm.
I can go over them. One. All right, 1, 2, 3, here, I'll just give this to you and we're done.
Oh, very good.
I can't imagine anyone's too concerned about it, but it just kind of generalized a couple of things.
Mhm.
Thank you. Anyway. Anybody want to move that we accept those minutes with,
So moved.
edit?
Second.
All in favor? Anyone opposed? Cool. All right, so minutes are done. Battery storage, number 4 there on the agenda. I have kind of tuned it out and I don't have anything new. On the pollinator corridor meetings. Nothing has happened in the last month and I'm not sure when the next meeting is, but I'll let you all know. Okay. Has everyone seen this pamphlet? This is number 5. on the
Yes.
agenda. Okay, does everyone like it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone see any errors or is there anyone we missed?
Cause you got, on the back, you have the wholesale.
Right. Okay.
Ones you're looking at are like Miss Friends, because it's really hard to print. You guys did it.
Yeah.
If you want any more or less vegetables, I got the tobacco or attempt at tobacco on there, so anything else. let me know.
The thing is, it's not that complicated to make a modification for the next time they get printed. I mean, it's not like we're gonna print 200,000 of these.
Mhm. Yeah, you just need a paid Canva account, which is $10
Yeah.
per month.
So we're gonna try to find maybe 5 or 6 places where we can put a little box and have people take this with them. See, I don't know how to print on the front and back with the same piece of papers.
It's the printer and it's complicated.
It's very complicated.
Anyway, so that's coming. So what's the next step? I just put it on, like hit print, right?
Yeah, just vote to approve it and hit print.
All right,
Away it
so
goes.
I move that we approve this as the first incarnation of a constantly updated Shop Whately hyperlocal farm guide.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, let's print them and distribute them, figure that out. All right, Dave, right farm sign project?
Yeah, I got the quote for, to keep it under $1,000, 4 signs and the artwork, and it comes up to $950.
Okay, all right,
And, he has no problem if, say, next year, if we get more money, if you want some more signs, we can do it.
Just pick away at it.
yep. Okay. Well, I talked to Peter a while ago now, but basically we need an invoice. And then you got one. All right, and it's it's $950, no tax, right?
Right.
Okay,
But you put a deposit or you want to do the whole thing.
oh, okay, oh, I see, the deposit is so close to the total balance, I'm sure they'll just.
So this quote earlier I read was like $1,600 or something, right?
Right,
That was for 5 signs and poles and flag, carriage poles.
Mhm.
well. Great,
We might need a couple more to keep it, maybe a couple more poles, but I guess we'll just raise those up.
I got some leaning up against a shed somewhere that'll work.
Yeah, carriage poles are cheap right now.
Yeah.
Yes, you know, they probably have to make money off of it anyways.
All right, well, let me get this into, I'll get this into the town tomorrow.
What's the turnaround on that?
I don't know.
I don't think it's much.
No, I see their signs there. They could do, like, they're making a bunch for the, Franklin County Fairgrounds and stuff.
Yeah.
Red ones, red, they look really nice.
Okay, and they've got the art all,
Yeah, I'm gonna go, I've talked to them already, originally I wanted to get to the quote there about, green lettering, and the tractor being red, and stuff. The man, the owner said, yep, he had no problem with it, so I'll give him another call to
okay,
what's going on, you're gonna have. Probably paid for the whole, like, 4 signs, the artwork,
yep,
I'll go over and make sure. We want,
okay, it might be smart here to just, I think, get approval for the. It would be, let me just make a note here, so I should see if we need to get approval for the artwork.
From,
Select board.
the picture, you mean,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know,
It's probably worth it just in case.
well, I'd rather ask than,
you can show them the pamphlet, that's where the picture is.
well, right,
Basically, it's, they'll see the pamphlet too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 things at once. Right, it came out good, that picture.
Yeah.
okay, all right, so I guess I'll talk to Peter about, do we need to get the artwork approved, and if not, I guess I'll have him this,
We got that.
and that's where we're at on these.
you have any color rendered at all?
He was just saying, I think we're looking at green letters and red.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the brochure.
Oh, I think.
No,
the
no
brochure is
color,
black.
we'll just black the line. Cause we're printing it at the printer here.
Okay.
You want some colored for
Well, I don't know,
version
it
two?
just make things livelier, I guess.
That is true.
Maybe we see how it goes.
Yeah, I think, yeah, because this can be, I don't think it makes sense to make more than a couple hundred at a whack,
Yeah.
We'll try to find like 5 places to hand them out. Okay, so. Well, and then the last thing I was just gonna mention is, I don't know if we're gonna meet in May or not. We'll have to kind of let the situation decide that for us, but, have in the back of your mind things that we might want to request funding for going forward. And I have a list of thoughts here. I don't want to take up a bunch of time because we want to get to the folks who have come to visit, but, so just be thinking about any projects, ideas. I mean, I was thinking, what could we do? What could the AgCom do for the school? And then I thought, well, why don't we just ask someone at the school? Instead of trying to figure, is there something? So, maybe in the fall, it makes sense to, maybe we could have someone from the school come here, someone checks in, and then we could maybe make a budget request and do something for the elementary school. I don't know, we'll see, but just things like that. If you get ideas like Dave signs, the earlier we start thinking about it, budgeting for it, the better. So that's all. I don't know, that was pretty good. That was pretty fast. So what, Amy?
Garden bounty forever.
Yeah, Amy, you're here for this, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. You wanna
Sure.
elaborate? Tell
So
us.
I'm not sure why I got voted by this group to talk to you guys, because I'm like the worst person, but I'll do my best. I'm sorry.
Not at all, not at all.
So, myself and Julie Wagner, who's on the select board, and Erica Roper, who's our community development coordinator, kind of got together and started this, weekly giving garden program. Literally like 3 weeks ago, came up with this idea, like, yeah, let's do it. It's kind of late now, and I explained this to them as far as like planning to grow stuff. and have everything in place for this spring. But we are going to start with a seed and plant drive. And what we want to do is we want to see if residents would be willing to, well, I say drive, but it's really a swap. So what we want to do is we want to see if farmers or residents have extra seeds that they would be willing to bring to a swap or starts. We would love starts because they're a lot easier than seeds for people. And the ultimate goal is to have a community garden. That's probably not going to happen realistically this year. We're looking at we are in talks with the library trustees of putting it behind the library. So that's the ultimate goal. But aside from that ultimate goal, we want to do this seed and starts program. Every couple of weeks, we will be set up. I think we've decided at the library, if it's okay with the trustees, like I said, it's all very new. To have residents come and get seeds, leave seeds, pick up starts if they need, leave starts if they have extras of. So what we wanted to talk to you about was seeing if any of the AgCom members wanted to be part of this group, because that would be an invaluable resource for us. And B, it's funny that you have that pamphlet, because the second thing I was gonna ask is if you guys had a list of farms that we could contact to see if any of the farms would be willing to donate starts or extra seeds and things like that.
Sure.
So those are our two asks of the AgCom.
Okay. Okay. Well, I know we are in the process of updating this database. And I don't know exactly where we're at, but that's something we're gonna talk about. I think next.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, I think it sounds like a neat project.
so we are, also working with the city of East Hampton, because they are also starting a program just like this in their city. So we're going to be working back and forth with them as well. And, we have lots, of course, you always have lots of ideas, but implementing those ideas can be a lot more of a challenge than just, yeah, let's do it. We were talking about maybe starting a farmer's market once a month or something like that. And so we just wanted to kind of get a feel from your committee to see what you guys think or have any thoughts or anything like that as well.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a neat project to me that would obviously evolve over time to be what it would. It's a living
Yes,
thing that's
yes.
gonna end up maybe not looking like what you think it is right now, but is there any Whately Garden Club or something like that? There
That
is a-
we are aware of. If anybody knows of one, please let me know. But so we put a lot of feelers out to residents. And nobody's really, you haven't heard of a garden club.
Okay.
Unless you.
No,
I can't think of any.
That's one I think arrange might. Some people do.
the only, I know, I will only share that when my kids were at the elementary school and I had bought the Kogan property up on Route 5 there. And there was about 6 acres of overgrown Christmas trees.
Oh, yeah.
So we did a fundraiser for the school and I cut the trees and gave them to anybody who signed up for a nominal fee. And if I was almost run out of town by the people who sell Christmas trees.
Oh.
So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was like a 1-year only deal. And I hope no one in this room sells Christmas. But anyway, so I don't know if there's anybody in town who sells starts who would be unhappy knowing that there were 3 things being handed out. I don't know. That occurs to me.
Okay, yes, so we did think about that. one of the things driving this is, in this economy, I know Whately's a little more affluent than Holyoke or places like that. But, food insecurity can be an issue for people, and I know that we have so many amazing farm stands in town. But with the prices of food going up, even at the farm stands, because farmers can't sell a tomato for 5 cents because they have to make a profit too, right?
Yeah.
So part of this is getting people to be able to grow their own food. So they have more of a stability, security when it comes to that, especially our older folks in town. That was where the idea came from.
I would think that the individuals involved are kind of amateurs. They need some direction as to what would be practical for them to plant
Yes,
and then get some sort of results
yes,
versus, well, that sounds good, but
yes,
how do you grow it? You know?
exactly. Exactly. But yeah, I was speaking with them, and you're absolutely right, there's a lot to learn. But they are, and I am really willing to dive in and learn it and figure it out, and I think that that's especially where you guys come in.
So do you have a group that's meeting periodically?
So right now, it's just myself and Julie and Erica.
Yeah.
We are hoping to get other residents to help out. Like I said, we just came up with this idea
Yeah, yeah.
weeks ago, so we're really kind of,
So it sounds like if, by May 17th, you're talking about pretty much starts that have already,
seeds and starts,
Things
yes,
that
that's
have already
what we
been
would like to do
Yeah.
for like a Mother's Day weekend,
at the.
if anybody has anything.
Okay, well, we can. I wonder if. Tori, how close are we to thinking the database is updated?
I think there's just 3 farms I could get a hold of, so I'd say it's like 95% done, ready to hand off.
All right, so it sounds like we could give you that,
Fantastic.
and maybe I could communicate with you about, I'll talk to these folks, you talk to those folks. And
Yeah.
maybe I can squeeze some more stuff out of them.
That would be great. I love that you guys have a pamphlet, because I was going to make a pamphlet to bring to them, just to explain everything and
Okay,
then have something tangible as opposed to just walking up to Dave and saying, hey, Dave, got any starts?
yeah. Well, you're welcome to plenty of copies of these, it's gonna print them up real soon.
Okay, are you guys gonna make those here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, good. I was gonna say, don't
Drop some off.
pay for, don't pay for them to get printed.
All right, so from now on, we gotta ask Amy when we want something.
Yeah, I'm gonna hook up.
Yeah.
If it's legal, I'll do it.
If you do get like a garden started, I would donate the compost for it.
Fantastic, thank
Yeah.
you.
Do you have an idea of interest in this? Like, how many people you think are gonna be interested in this?
I think that is a tough, because if you start really talking to some farms, some of us think in terms of, obviously, we're not talking about thousands of anything. But you need things in a form that a homeowner can use,
Exactly,
not a tray of 200
right,
kale plants. You need a 6-pack of
exactly,
broccoli and cabbage. And so
Yes.
you need a wide variety of a relatively retail friendly pack.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
To answer your question, the residents and people that we have spoken with and kind of put the word out so far have been super enthusiastic, and that's a fantastic idea.
See what
It's
happens.
always, fantastic and always enthusiastic when everything first starts, and then interest kind of wanes.
Sure.
I mean, even with gardens, so part of this is not just, oh, here's some seeds and some starts, bye. it's also going to be tied into keeping up with it. And then when you get your 100 tomatoes, we'll have like canning classes and
Right.
things
This is
like
what
that.
you do with it.
Because you have to do the whole follow through. I mean, and a lot of people, they'll start their garden and then after like 5 or 6 weeks, it's like, I'm not doing this. And like your enthusiasm goes down, like when the weeds start and you have
Right. Well, it's really hard to grow food.
crops, yeah, and you have bugs and oh my gosh, geez, I'm pro, like I missed one weekend of weeding and now it's overtaken, and never mind, I quit.
Right,
So,
right.
Yeah,
um,
one night, wrapped on my tomato plants, but you're walking away.
so, part of this is really, we really want to go from start to finish with residents. So they can have like an actual, at the end product that they can use, that they can actually use. That makes sense. I don't know if I'm explaining that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
definitely.
I get it, and so, but things like flowers are something you'd be happy to have donated as well, or you're.
Flowers are good because you need companion plants.
Sure, and so, but the focus is really food.
The focus is food,
Yeah.
yes, but flowers are a necessity because you have to attract those bees and those pollinators to get your stuff growing.
Well, so why don't we make sure you get a copy of our database?
Fantastic.
Why don't you and I have a conversation one way or another? And maybe I can try to, put the screws to a couple of people and, see what we can get together for the 17th.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I also put out a call to the tech school to see if they can help. So we would have to do probably race gardens behind the library. So I put out a call to the tech school to see if landscaping or carpentry kids can maybe do something like that. Because they don't have an ag program there. But Smith does. But it's also the end of their school year.
Right.
So I have to keep that in mind too. But for now, starts and seeds.
Great. Okay,
Awesome.
well, yeah, so we'll just talk behind the scenes here, and see what we can get together.
Great, thank you so much.
You
Thank
bet.
you.
Have a good night. Thanks, Amy.
Sweet, thank you.
All right, Tamsin, if I have called you Tasman, I
Oh,
apologize.
it's okay. Can I come sit with you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do we mind my introduction? Sorry, I wasn't here for the beginning.
Sure, I'm Doug Coldwell, and I, one of the owners of Full Bloom and Happy Valley. Organics.
I'm Bill O'Bear, Fairfield Farm. Tim Nurse, retired.
Nice to meet you. I know all these names.
Maybe you will be friends.
Nice to meet you.
Mike Bonner, Poplar Hill Farm and Bear Path Company.
Okay. Great, nice to meet you all. I'm Tamsin. I'm a land use and natural resources planner at the FERCog, which is the regional planning agency. We're located in Greenfield at the top floor of the train bus station. And Erica Roper is working with some staff at the FERCog to do a comprehensive plan. That is planning, long range visioning document that covers everything that a municipality sort of has charge over, basically. So transportation, economic development, land use. What are some of the other required topics? Community facilities. And then we decided to add an agriculture chapter because it's so important in Whately. And it ties into land use so much and economic development and all that. So, so Doug passed around, thank you, Doug, sort of beginning of a chapter. And the goal of that was to sort of just describe what the existing conditions are for the economic and farmland aspects of the agricultural economy here. Kind of what businesses are here. I got into the history because I thought it was interesting. And then it should sort of have a little bit of an analysis to it, and then some recommendations for how the municipality can support the goals of the agricultural community and the community's goals for agriculture as a whole. And so as I was writing, I had a gazillion questions for you, and we don't have to answer them all because we don't actually have to finish this for another year, but I had time now to work on it, so I got started.
Okay.
Do you feel up for some of these?
Yeah,
questions?
I mean, you know, our meetings end when the select board meeting ends, but we are now self-sufficient, so we don't really, nobody's gonna come in and blink the lights on this. So,
Okay.
um,
Yeah. So, I mean, in some ways, I think there's like discrete questions that y'all will be able to answer for me. And then there's things that we might be like, oh, we actually wanna put that question out to more people, not just us. And so, yeah, we'll be thinking about that as we go through my questions.
Mhm.
A whole other thing that is happening for me right now is that I'm interested in what agricultural commissions are up to these days. You seem like you have a more active one than a lot of towns.
yeah, I mean, we were very inactive for a long time. Kind of the leadership fell to me, and I'm really horrible with any clerical work or anything like that. And so I kind of asked a lot of towns in the area, how is your ag comp
Right.
managed? Because we're not doing very well, and none of them had a functioning ag comp.
Yeah.
Great advice.
So then I thought, well, maybe could we budget some money for
Yeah.
administrative assistant? And so, you know, I know Al Anderson he's the chair of the CPC.
Okay.
And so we thought maybe together we could each budget some money, and now Victoria's here
Cool.
with us and getting us doing things. So, you know, we kind of came up with the idea of this just sort of an evolving brochure of the
Yeah, oh, that's
distribute.
cool.
I actually might know someone, maybe we can get these out of Yankee Candle in Deerfield, but,
We did a brochure, a little more detailed, quite a number of years ago. We printed up a couple thousand copies or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I thought I had a bunch of them. I didn't know
well, that was more of a. Wasn't that more informative about what Whately had? You know, the number of acres of.
Yeah,
land
it
that
was,
was
that, but also there was information about where the different farms were.
Okay.
And web addresses and phone numbers and all that.
Okay.
Was there a map on it too, Bill? Was there a map of all the farms?
I can't remember. It's just, I really feel, like, dive in. I had a box of about, I don't know, a few hundred of these things sitting in my closet when we keep supplies for, you know, office and all that. They're just not there. I asked my wife because things disappear sometimes.
Things get purged.
Yeah, right.
One thing I have access to, I don't know, do any of you remember back in 2015? Another planner at the FERCog, Mary Chigoin, did made some graphics about Whately Farms with some statistics.
But it was at the study where they had all the APR ground and the 61A ground in a map.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen all of the pieces of that project.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Well, that was maybe, it was a while ago, right?
Yeah,
That was
well,
a while ago.
I actually have a map, I made a map like that for you.
That could have been 15 years ago. That would be, yeah.
We can get to that in a bit. Well, I think there is I don't know if you've all heard of the Massachusetts Farmland Action Plan. It came out like maybe 3 years ago. And its goal is to sort of drive more faster protection of farmland for those people who want to protect farmland. Because Massachusetts is like the third, I forget what the statistic is, but it's losing farmland at the third fastest rate of all states in the country. And it, like farmland is, Massachusetts, an acre of farmland is like some of the most expensive farmland in the country, so it's just. And the average age of farmers in Massachusetts are in their 60s, and there's just a lot of concern that in the next decade, there's gonna be a lot of turnover of farm owners and potentially a lot of loss of land that if if depending on what decisions get made or what opportunities people feel like they have available to them, what options people have available to them. I can see you all fidgeting a little bit more while I talk about that. So the farm,
I think it's like 75% of farmers in the country are 55 or 60
Yeah.
and older.
Yeah, so
They're all old.
yeah, so there's this big push to put more money into the programs that, the options that are available to support farmland protection, and farmland succession planning. And so like part of that is a push to revitalize agricultural commissions, because you all have a lot of power, actually. You have the ability to,
As of the understanding of the Ag Commission, we report to the selectmen.
Yeah,
We're an arm of the selectmen in regard to agriculture,
yeah,
but as far as that having any power, we don't.
well, one thing you do have the ability to do is own land on behalf of the municipality.
Ag commissions can
Yeah.
plan.
And so and no town has ever, that I know of, or actually I talked to somebody today, well, I talked to Pete Westover today. Who some of you must know, he's an Whately resident. His group, Conservation Works, is contracted with MDR right now to do some technical assistance to agricultural commissions. And he was saying that he doesn't know of a town that has actually exercised this right yet, but ag commissions under Section 8L, which is the like enabling legislation, have the right to purchase property on behalf of the
Why
municipality.
would they want to own the land when you have the APR program and the town? It's a big deal to even get $10,000, so.
Sure. I think it's so that, I mean, I don't know if it's at all feasible, because I don't know where the town comes up with that money, but I think it's so that if there's. Somebody doesn't feel like APR is an option for them because it's not enough money, or they already did APR and they need to. Sell, the town could own the land and then lease it back to a farmer.
Okay,
So the town could buy APR land, which I think the town has the right to do
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah,
that's
right.
right of first refusal.
Right.
That's under 61, not under,
That's not under,
it's not, maybe it's under
Yeah.
APR.
oh, it's, yeah, but
I don't think it is APR.
I suppose, the
think it's-
APRs do vary a little bit too.
Yeah, well, it's changed since the originals. It's more strict now.
Yeah, are APR property automatically in 61A? And
yes, well, that's the.
I mean,
No,
I mean,
no,
it's not
you have
automatic.
to keep enrolling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so then,
That's right.
I guess that's probably an assumption that I made. And therefore, I would assume that an APR property would be subject to the right of first refusal, but it isn't automatically in 61A, so, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Okay, so one thing, okay, I'm gonna ask these questions about ag commissions in general, and then I'm gonna get back to this comprehensive planning chapter. So one thing you can do is create watch lists for important unprotected land. You can basically recommend to the select board which lands they should be acting on if they were to come under the right of first refusal under chapter 61. Um. Uh. You're charged, you're one of the main groups charged with, conflict mediation. You're aware of that. Do you know about the push to map farmland of local importance? This is something that NRCS was working on with, the American Farmland Trust. A lot of,
It's possible,
Yeah.
it's been discussed, but I don't remember.
okay, so you haven't done that mapping yet. Farm surveys, which you seem like you are actively doing that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. Help with, oh, so these are opportunities these are projects you could work on, help with farm succession planning. Helping farms understand awareness of the APR program, ALE, and other protection programs like Chapter 61, and then use of Community Preservation Act funds to protect farmland. And then what I was just mentioning, fee purchase of land to be leased back to farmers. Are any of those things things you would want to learn more about? Or get like technical assistance with, like have somebody come in and walk you through certain steps?
No, I mean, nothing there
Yeah.
that you said
Yeah.
is jumping out at me as something
We've
that I
been
think.
pretty, quite active over the years in working with, farmland owners who wanna, put their land in 61A. And,
APR.
Yeah,
I think you're right, APR, I meant
Yeah.
APR. And also, working with them to get their share of community, what's it called, the CPC money.
I mean, I'm just for the record, what you're saying is we have always advised people who are seeking APR to get their
Yeah.
local match from the CP.
Cool,
And provide assistance in terms of,
Yeah,
they need help filling out forms.
Yeah. okay, that's cool. So farmers just know to reach out to that commission for help with that.
yeah, I mean, as soon as it comes to the attention of the town hall or the community,
Yeah.
then historically, I've gotten in touch with whoever it was. And offered whatever support was necessary, and sometimes it's nothing more than a letter of recommendation.
Yeah.
Some people are more savvy than others, I guess.
Yeah.
That way.
Is there anything else that I didn't say that are things that you would be interested to get more help? Learn about or get more help with?
I mean, we had. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not even sure what question to ask.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
we seem to be doing all right with. Yeah,
I mean, I guess I understand our mission is to sort of be basically advisory to other town committees.
Yeah.
And support there is the conflict mediation. The dust and rooster law,
Wait, say that again.
the dust and rooster accord.
That's like, is that just like
Those-
short for the kinds of things people complain about?
Those are the two things.
Okay, yeah.
Get the right to farm.
That's right.
Yeah.
right. So there is, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know when the next scoop comes out, but I'll get something written for the scoop of what that all means.
You have an existing right to farm bylaw, right?
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah, so.
We did that many years ago.
yes.
I think to become an ag commission. That was one of the requirements to have a right to farm.
Okay,
And, I'll just say it because we're talking about it, but historically, the APR funds have been 80% state, 20% local. But there were three things a town could do. And for each thing it accomplished, the match shifted towards the state by 5 percentage points.
Yep.
So we are 95.5. We're accomplishing APRs.
Yeah.
As cheap as it can be done.
Yeah,
And an AP, being right to farm community is one, having an APR is, DAGCOM is one, and then the third one is. If you we had to pass a bylaw that said, I think everyone who pulls a permit in this town, the land has to be reviewed for APR status, and maybe also 61A status. Which I guess. A couple times in other towns that's permits have been granted on APR land by mistake. Anyway,
that's
So,
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, I actually thought that third criteria was something about you have a policy for how the select board reviews a land that comes up. A parcel that comes up under right of first refusal.
I wonder if it has more than one facet to it.
Yeah, but I
Well,
asked somebody at NDAR about that recently, and I think they might have gotten rid of that one, so. I'll send that email to you, clarifying.
Okay.
Um. Well, that's good to hear. All right, I'm on to my questions, and I have copies of these if you all wanna look at them now or take them home. And this is, again, it's just a draft, it's gonna be, I can add to it whatever you all tell me to add to it or take away. And then we'll look at the maps at the end. The way we structure these chapters is that each one gets sort of like their vision, their own vision statement, their own guiding principle. Do you have anything? Do you all have any kind of mission statement or
I think we do.
about agriculture in Whately? What goals for protecting, preserving, promoting?
I mean, I think that's the direction, of the ag kind of. Promoting the interests of agriculture in town. So I think it's kind of baked into just being an agriculture.
Yeah. Okay,
But I don't know that we have ever, I don't think I've ever been. Tried to have a mission statement that was different than just expectations.
yeah.
Committee.
If you were to say sort of what the guiding vision is for agriculture in Whately, if you come up with something right now.
You said it again, sorry.
If you want, if like, let me set up a scenario for you.
We need a bumper sticker.
Yeah, basically. But maybe like a full sentence of a bumper sticker.
A bumper sticker that goes on for just a little too long. Well, I've always liked, you can't spell Whately without hate.
I understand that.
Oh,
It's a little bit of some sort of
no,
right wing convention here. or
Maybe
something?
I'll come up with something, it'll be pretty generic and bland, and you can all react to it.
I
Yeah,
think it's just a common sense of, we've got quite a lot of open space for farming. And overall, the town values it as the individuals that live in town for the open space as well as the value of the land that's being farmed. In our existence, we've been supportive of that for those constituents.
yeah. Okay, I'll capture that sometime. Thank you.
It's off the cuff.
It was great. So this is in the like historical rabbit hole I went down. I watched that cool presentation about the first farming census in 1840 and 1850. So I was actually able to capture some like historic trends in farming. Do you have a sense of when? Farming sort of peaked in Whately as far as like number of farms or? And this is not like required, necessary in any way, it was just sort of.
Probably
fun question.
1945.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So something close to the beginning and end of World War II.
Of course, the farms were overall a lot smaller.
Yeah,
We had a bunch of dairy farms in town.
Yeah, there was like-
those. But now
there were 5 or 6 just from in West Whately.
Yeah.
That all of them, a couple cows, so it's like, yeah. More than that, actually.
I wonder if the historical commission
I wondered about that.
might have access to.
Back then too, in the 40s, 50, you had more support industries for farming. That Keegan's buyers here, you know, you had a lot of people.
Yeah,
Fertilizer
tractor dealers,
companies,
yeah,
Yeah.
multiple
There was
fertilizer
more.
companies, right?
Cattle dealers, there was feed stores around, there was everybody. Right now,
Everybody's
there
farming.
isn't a lot of support industry.
That's a really good point, thank you.
So it's one. There's traffic places, Surin, Skibitsky, and Parsons. Well,
Even the New Holland people are out of East Hampton now.
Yeah,
fertilizer, if you go anywhere, fertilizer. Old box back then, and CPS. US Steel was good. Act like your own brand.
Yeah.
Feed companies you had Procter Auctions. Here, it was a lot of support back then.
Yeah.
Now it's all up to you.
Right.
Basically, go online and buy parts. Find something. There's nothing left.
Yeah, I know, it's like even just getting, if you needed a part from a New Holland dealer, it's like. I mean, you can have stuff shipped, obviously, but if you really want to talk to a dealer. You know, it's like Capital out in New York will get stuff to you every couple of weeks and. I don't know, yeah, it's
It's changed.
it's changed.
What would you say are the currently the like major crops grown? For export,
vegetables and tobacco.
Export.
not export, I just mean like, that aren't sold. Kind of hyper locally,
Oh, okay, better ship.
yeah,
A lot of sweet corn,
Yeah, I would say vegetables and,
fewer potatoes, much more sweet corn.
yeah,
cattle corn,
yeah, some,
Some
no soybeans.
no soybeans, thank you.
tobacco.
And vegetables. A lot of onions.
No,
No,
Vegetables,
Just say, like,
butternut, so,
yes,
cabbage.
Yeah, squash.
Yeah,
and
squash.
pumpkins.
Pumpkins. yeah,
Yeah, I mean, there's an incredibly long list, kind of beyond that, it's a little of everything.
right, I was gonna say, it's kind of like, a little bit there, a little bit there.
Yeah.
if you take the wholesale side of it, it's what you guys do in Manheim and. What's his name, took over Jimmy Krzyznik's place,
Pashevsky.
you know, and. Wholesale, you know.
Right.
A lot of the leaf vegetables.
okay. Will the database that you're finalizing show acreage? Did you collect that information?
No,
Okay.
it was more of how can we maintain a list that we can inform.
Yeah.
And, yeah,
Okay.
But before the Rocog do that study, that APR and 61 acre ground, that was all parceled by acres.
Yeah, I have a total, so. These are. Oh, no,
Would the town give you the numbers of what's filed in the 61A? That would.
I had a third map and I guess I left it in the printer or never printed it out. These are farmland soils. Can pass them. I guess all the way around.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, and then this is. 20. This is, on this map. This is the estimate, like the the estimate of land cover that is cultivated crops in orange and then. Pasture and hay in yellow. Pass those down. And so I can pull those numbers, but I didn't know if you guys had maybe more accurate numbers for what's actually in active use.
So if the 61A is filed in town. That would, then you would have those, they would have those numbers.
Yeah, look at the 100, like,
That was the, that would be current.
Yep, but not everyone's enrolled in 61A, right?
I'd be surprised if they weren't.
Okay,
It could be a 3-acre parcel out back that isn't,
yeah,
someone wants to keep for a
It's
house
certainly,
lot.
certainly an incentive to do it financially.
yeah,
It's an incentive to do it financially being 61 days.
Yes. Everybody has, the tax rate is
Potash, brook, that's almost zero.
increased.
Now it's a storm.
Right.
But that's what we were, right?
um. So I have a little paragraph in there about how the town supports agriculture. And what I'm saying is it supports the AgCom and you guys get a little bit of a budget.
Oh, we can request money
Yeah.
for it, yeah,
I used to do that for $1,500 a year.
up to 2,500. Really, and we don't even know what to do with it all.
The right to farm bylaw. There are some aspects of your zoning that are supportive to farming. I mean, the fact that most of town is farmed, residential and agricultural together. And then it's my understanding that the solar bylaw was written in some respects to protect farmland or to allow that land that where solar is developed to be returned to farmland. Would you say, does that feel true to you or would you argue with that?
I think that's a working document.
I was gonna say, I don't think that's, still think finishes it.
No, I don't,
Not the battery storage, but
no,
the like,
Solar sighting or whatever.
yeah, what am I,
putting up solar panels
exactly,
on agricultural land is,
Yeah.
it's evolving a bylaw.
I believe there's something working in the state right now as well.
right,
on that
okay,
matter.
right. Are there other ways that you feel like the town has policy or programs, or just like by sort of their attitude is supportive of agriculture?
I think they're generally supportive.
Kind of everywhere. Like farming.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very much in your face, so it's.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think, well, I think if you ask, your average resident, 2 or 3 of them. And the question came up about whether they appreciate farming in town. I think they all respond positively.
Actually, and there, I think it's like, I think it was cultural significance is what I called it. There's a whole paragraph about, when we did the survey for the kind of first phase of this comprehensive plan, you know, we always put out a survey to see what people want, so we can write and reflect that, like every single question about what people valued when farmland was in the farming and farmland was in the question, it was like the #1 thing people said, so. I think that is shown in the survey and in the plan already.
I think that all was all true until day in March when the wind's blowing and
Yeah.
the dust bowl everywhere.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Gotcha. I would love to have a section on the opportunities and threats to farming. This is sort of, I pulled a bunch of topics from Hatfield had a similar section in their comprehensive plan, which they finished last year. And I'm wondering, which of these topics sort of feel particularly pertinent right now, and you're, to the best of your knowledge. I'm just gonna read them off. I don't know, you can like raise a finger or just talk about it afterwards. But soil fertility,
I'm sorry, I'm not following. What we-
yeah, I don't have anything for you. This is not a list that you can look at, but
Oh,
but I don't think, let's see. Did I put it? Yeah, so under this heading that has nothing under it, the future of farming in Whately. I'm thinking of just doing a little bit of writing about, like opportunities and sort of risks. Or like, challenges that farmers in Whately face. And so I'm just gonna read off some of the topics I thought that could be covered, and you can tell me whether you think it's worth putting in the plan or not. So soil fertility. The potential for development. Succession and access to farmland. Labor supply, getting farm workers. Market access. Cost of operating,
Cost of everything.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, all those things are. Important.
taxes,
I think those, was 61A. Compared to the 70s. Really the taxes, I don't think are an item.
We don't have a huge tax. The tax on real estate are not that bad.
No,
Yeah.
that's it, and that can change, but
Yeah,
for now, it's been good.
okay. So you're saying they're not bad to begin with, and then chapter 61A really helps?
Yeah, I wouldn't say they're not bad to begin
No, I
with,
don't think
61A definitely
Okay,
helps.
okay,
'cause
okay.
If those are house lots, well, that'd be different
Yeah,
than 61A.
I pay more for my house on 1.13 acres than my farm of 118 acres base,
that's
Yeah.
all,
by a lot,
that's good information.
Yeah.
It's really,
by a couple $1,000s.
Yeah,
which is
okay.
Pretty insane.
and then. Yeah, funding, potential loss of funding. And climate change. Anything I'm missing?
Think that source of credit. Is a basic commodity if you're going to farm.
Yeah,
I would say Massachusetts is the most highly regulated state in the country when it comes to
Yeah.
everything, but especially farming.
yeah, I mean, look at what happened with the diamonds.
Yep.
Things like that'll come out of left field.
I'd also say that it's that,
the
like
egg, the egg law.
yeah, the public. The public is the biggest threat to farming, because as someone who's younger. No one in this country knows where their food comes from anymore. I mean, they just don't. And it gets worse every single year, right? Yeah, it's getting worse in my mind exponentially right now.
Yeah.
Like, not to crap on the thing that was here earlier, but I think it's a great idea, because I think everyone should know how to grow food. But it's super hard, and she's right, after 3 or 4 weeks, people are gonna lose interest. And like, Or you can do everything right and then your tomatoes get blight like the day you're gonna pick them and they're all.
Or
dirty.
or the squirrels finishing off.
Yeah, just, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
it's.
People
I
are
mean, the
so
idea
removed.
that there's gonna be food security from, I think it's awesome
I do too.
that people are getting out there to garden. And
Yeah.
if there was a community garden and there were people hanging out up there in the evening, weeding their broccoli or whatever, that would be a great use of space.
Yeah.
But, and as far as it being like food security, I don't think it's that, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless it were really gonna evolve into.
Yeah, I'd love to do, I think people are so unconnected with the farm, like, no one grows up on a farm anymore.
Yeah.
They just. Yeah, I see it every day.
Yeah, I mean, if I knew what they wanted, I would have had everything they wanted for every 2 weeks. But if you're gonna find out about it on the April 22nd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, I mean,
Yeah.
but it's evolving, they're learning, we're learning,
Yeah,
but I think this would be a great thing for the AgCom to support.
yeah,
Yeah, I'll share a story that's all happened since our last meeting, or maybe it was evolving. Here's the threat to agriculture. We were told by Whole Foods, by far our biggest customer, that we were not in compliance with their food safety requirements, and that we had to have a plan in place within 30 days to move forward. And this was all regarding our veg production, which of course we're not gonna be selling anything till June. So they said we needed to follow the leafy greens management agreement, LGMA, which we had never heard of before,
Okay,
and it's beyond the scope of FISBA.
uh-huh,
So it's a group of very large greens growers in California got together and came and wrote a food safety standard. And Whole Foods adopted it.
uh-huh,
And-
cause this isn't federal,
I'm sorry,
it's not federal, it's like
no, it's private,
Whole Foods
it's private
policy,
standard.
yeah.
So we're looking at it, going through a 108-page document, trying to write all this policy and everything, and it's like, we're not gonna do this.
Yeah,
it doesn't work for you.
No, and if we have to write it in our food safety plan, it's not like we can do it for Whole Foods and not do it for our other customers. Anyway, so we decided to stop growing vegetables.
well,
And then the next 2 weeks, we got all of our rented land to other organic farms. We're working to try to keep the sale local. And then through all this, we're talking to Whole Foods back and forth. Do you really need us to inject sanitizer into our irrigation water and stuff like this? This is, and then we're talking to Paul Harlow and Vermont, some other greens growers. I know, what are you looking at? Are you seeing this? Anyway, so we're like, all right, we're out, we're done, no more veg, we stopped growing plants. Got our land to kitchen garden in Atlas, and then we got an email from Whole Foods. We made a mistake. You're satisfying, you are currently satisfying our food safety. No further action is necessary.
holy shit.
Yeah, here's a threat. Somebody misunderstood something at a meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah, the public. You know what I mean? They
A
just,
person in an office,
Right.
never been on a farm.
right, doesn't know what a farm is,
Nope.
doesn't, has no idea where their food comes from. Yeah,
I sent an email
It's everywhere.
to everyone I know at Stop and Shop, been with Stop and Shop for 30 years. Saying, thank you for all the support, blah, 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 these are the reasons we're not gonna grow veg anymore. Didn't get one email back. So I'm thinking, I bet they didn't get it. So I just followed up, somebody was like, yes, we saw your email.
thanks.
yikes.
So I mean, so it's fragile out there.
Yeah,
Nobody's talking about local anymore in my world. Nobody. Except Big Y. Let's say Big Y.
They can't, cause it's. Look how expensive food is anyway.
No,
No, just-
I mean, organics has become I don't want, it just means there's a less expensive version of this somewhere in the store.
Yeah. Yeah,
Used to
Yeah.
have an inch for organics.
They used to scream it.
yeah,
Had an inch.
Yep.
You know, that inch ain't there anymore.
Now everything, in fact, I was just at a big Y meeting today. The buzzwords are whatever's happening on TikTok. They like monitor TikTok, and if there's cilantro trends or whatever on social media, they're like crazily buying cilantro because they'll get shelled in the stores. And that's like, I knew I was done farming the day I saw a variety of apple had a Facebook page. And that, I remember being a big Y in Greenfield, and I was like, yeah, I'm done. Anyway, so I don't know, that's a threat. You know, just, I would say the markets are. There's not enough of them, they're too big, they're just too involved in how you go about trying to manage your crops. Right. And your farm profitably. I mean, that was it for us, if we were to comply with the LGMA, we wouldn't be running profitably.
Yep.
You know,
I got on the board for Franklin County's Farm Bureau recently.
Good.
And the first thing that I didn't know a lot about Farm Bureau. And the first person to explain it to me basically said, there's all these people who are trying to tell, that have never been on a farm in their lives, are telling you how to farm.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And that's,
That's your experience of the Farm Bureau.
no, that's just,
That's one
that's why they explained it's important to be
Oh,
on
yeah,
Farm
yeah,
Bureau.
gotcha, gotcha,
Because
gotcha.
of the regulations and actually that guy who told me that has moved on, he's got a different job, he was, oh, I forget the term now. He was one of our, not broker, what is he?
Staff person.
No, like the guy who's going to bat on Capitol Hill for you,
oh, lobbyist.
lobbyist, thank you.
The Farm Bureau exists to counter the fact that everyone that controls.
Right.
The markets and the subsidies and blah, blah, blah. Don't know shit about farming.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like your cows need a roof over their head or they'll get wet. It's like. Oh, if you put a roof over, they're gonna go stand outside, cause,
Yeah.
God made the cow, man made the barn. But you can't, you know what I mean, like you just,
That's what Dr. Hess said, the worst thing for an animal was a roof.
yeah. 'Cause
I would, I was just, one of the conversations I had with someone at Whole Foods. About this, I mean, they said. The young farmers today don't know how to grow anything. They're all set with coming up with a farm plan and writing a food safety plan and a sexual harassment, all this stuff, they can need, just lay out the PowerPoint presentations or whatever and do this, but they can't grade stuff, they can't grow volume, they can't grow the crops. That's the struggle that they're seeing, that much younger growers are having. But they've got all the compliances nailed,
Because they're so mortified that if you don't have them,
Well, they grew up with,
yeah.
I mean, if you knew life before all this, it's tough.
Watch that with the computer. See, the perfect scenario is on the computer. You don't know. If a hailstorm will come tonight, you're done.
Yeah,
You go out in their field, there's 30 deer out there.
Yeah.
What do you go now? Everything's perfect on the computer, but it's not real life. You always gotta have your options open and they don't. That's probably the reason why they can't grow them.
right.
Weather change it, all the plants this on this field today, all of a sudden 2 inches of income, I guess we're gonna go someplace else and put that crop over there.
Touchy subject.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. Okay, so speaking of people that don't know anything about farming. The energy committee, I I also have had a meeting with them regarding part of this plan. And they were wondering if there's anything, okay, basically, it started with this pie in the sky idea about whether it's possible to use renewable energy of some kind, like a little solar panel out in the field or something to help power irrigation pumps. But then we were like, but then they just started to be, then we all realized we don't even know how irrigation works for the most part. I imagine the farms along the Connecticut are pumping from the Connecticut,
If you can get there.
if you can get there, right? And then,
They're all diesel or propane. Because of the distance to get to the river. And have an electric line there.
yeah. And
If
But
you
to
were,
run an electric pump, irrigation pump, you'd have a lot of solar panels.
right,
or big
Or big
batteries.
batteries.
Big battery.
right. And then is anyone irrigating from wells, private wells?
I don't know of anybody.
Yeah, I think Kitchen Garden does. I mean, I'm sure people are. I mean,
Yeah.
we theoretically can. But I don't think it's common.
And do you have, and there's one aquifer that's contaminated, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Which is that,
well, the temperature.
oh, that,
But that's gone by, isn't it?
has that cleaned itself up yet or not?
Yeah, that's something I'm curious about.
What, the town water wells? Like for town water?
Oh, but just the land here.
Oh,
Yeah, so the municipal systems came in after the,
sure.
So the Temic thing is down along Plain Road here, right? And River Road.
Consolidated with the pubic, isn't it? That's another thing.
oh, I don't know about that.
I don't think that,
That was. It was too much.
I can think of any fumigation issue that's ever been an issue with the contaminating water that I've heard of.
The word you used, the T word,
Fumigating,
temic,
Temic,
Pesticide or.
Yeah.
Insecticide, and it was used in potatoes primarily. right?
phosphate that's very residual.
yeah, and that's what contaminated back in the 70s or so, yeah.
From the time of Whately put it in a water system.
Okay. Any other big picture objectives? Any other big picture things you're thinking about that the town of Whately should be thinking about to support farming in Whately?
How these poor bastards gonna survive?
Okay, so I'm gonna just say. This is a document that the town acts on, so we have to be realistic about what's in the town's power, and if you can think of things,
Yeah.
I'll put them in there.
How about the animal excise tax, the tax of. Big excise tax on your cows or chickens.
Not us. I've argued with them, I don't pay anything, I pay $456 to the state of Mass, and I'm not giving $1 to this town, that's in. I made the assessor before she, whatever, we looked it up from 1779 when it was written, and. Cause we're a corporation,
Oh, well, that's different.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Didn't know that.
every 5 or 6 years, she asked me to pay it, and I said, no, I'm not paying it. We don't have to pay it, I have to pay my $456 to the state of Mass for whatever.
So that you
whatever
can have
reason.
cows, right?
Yeah, I guess, I don't know, but it just, you do your taxes, the state takes that money, it hasn't changed. And I've been doing the books for 20 years or whatever, you know?
Yeah. Cow admin tax.
Yeah, whatever tax it is. You're a corporation, you have cows, we want $456.
But what it really comes down to is the state that has all these regulations.
Yeah.
In place, and the town just follows. So it isn't what the town.
Yeah.
Can do.
Right.
And they've been supportive of the AgCom. And agriculture in general, so in that sense.
Okay. trying to think of some ideas to like throw out there for you to react to, but
I think overall the town is very supportive
Yeah.
of farming, just in general.
Yeah.
As a, municipality.
I'm interested in this, the like, that nobody's talking about local anymore issue. So I moved here in 2010 and I worked on farm, I worked at Red Fire for a year and then Old Friends for 5 years and then another smaller farm, and I feel like I showed up when local was really big and farmers markets were really working for farms, and I watched a lot of farmers leave farmers markets because they got their wholesale accounts. And then, like, and then when Amazon bought Whole Foods, like so many farmers were pushed out. And I don't, like, I've been out of farming long enough that I don't really understand what markets look like anymore.
Yeah.
Are there, like, CISA still exists and is still good, doing that local hero, all their local hero work. Is there more? And I'm interested in the fact that you feel like people don't, just really aren't connected to farms anymore, aren't connected, like, aren't on them, don't grow up on them, aren't on them, like, can't even visualize it. Do you feel like there's more, there's like, I don't know, like what I'm putting all those things together and I'm feeling like there's this loss of that local connection. I appreciate my local farms. I know my local farmer. I visit my local farm.
I think a lot of people. Like the Pioneer Valley is a pretty unique place, right? There's 5 colleges, there's a lot of educated people with money. And everybody, I think, is trying to do the right thing, but they just like, people only go part way there. And they don't, like, it's almost like, what I see a lot of is people want the pat on the back. I did the good thing, I went and shopped at Whole Foods, even though some of the food I bought came from China or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like. My neighbor who's not here has this great story, who he goes to farmers markets. He bought the farm next to us 3 years ago, Bill, something like that. He has grown, like, he has put his back into it. It's crazy how much he's built in the last 3 years. He's like, I went to this farmer's market in January and this woman was like bullshit with him that he didn't have asparagus. And he's like, well, it's winter. She's like, well, they have it at Whole Foods. Yeah, so just bought the asparagus at Whole Foods, and because they have it, that means it's local, because it's Whole Foods. Like, they
Yeah,
just
you-
don't,
yeah.
or I went to River Valley Market and, like, I sell beef. Oh, I buy beef at River Valley Market, it must be yours. Like, no, it comes from Maine. It says it right on the picture there, but you just don't, you don't go all the way. You just went to the store
Yeah.
and that was good enough.
Hey, my mother used to save the PLU stickers off the butternut squash that she bought, because she was always wanted to show me that she had bought 3 or 4 of our butternut squash, or whatever. So she puts them on the side of her cabinet.
Yeah.
It's all Wally Zykowski's butternut squash.
Right.
But my own mother doesn't know she's not buying,
Yeah,
which is fine, but
right. And I think it just, some of it just comes from being like they just don't know, like, I didn't know asparagus was coming from Mexico right now.
Yeah.
It says product of Mexico on the little band that's around the asparagus, that's in the supermarket, but like it's almost like they take it for granted because of CISA, and it's almost like they're overeducated on it now. Where we just
Yes.
think it's everywhere. Like selling compost, you meet other unique people who think, I think the Northeast produces 3% of the food we consume.
Yeah,
That is nothing.
Yeah.
So like, again, like it's this big, huge, we're doing all these great things, not saying it's not a good thing, but like, put it in perspective, people,
Yeah.
like, come on. You know what I mean? Like, they're just so out of touch.
Yeah.
And I don't have like the answer, what's gonna bring people back. Not having food probably,
yeah,
but, I mean, you're only a couple, 2 or 3 days away from not having food in the supermarket.
yeah,
If you have to buy an electric truck, which doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Again, regulations. Like right now in the state, you can't buy a new semi, a company can't sell you a brand new semi. Unless they sell 3 electric semis first, they can't sell a diesel one, there's no such thing as electric semi. That's realistic,
Mhm.
so You know what I mean?
So, yeah,
It's nuts.
I know, we're selling some equipment now that we're not growing vegetables anymore, and we have a pre-emissions irrigation pump.
Yeah.
Just barely pre-emissions.
Yeah.
It's worth more than,
Then you paid for it brand
it's
new.
worth more than
Yeah.
a compliant new one. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like every time you turn around, there's a new requirement, some bit of paperwork, somebody telling that you've been doing it wrong, you're doing, what you're doing isn't right.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I don't think anyone complains about the basics of the sort of regulation, but it just gets taken to such an extreme. People, I don't know.
Gotcha.
That, but I don't, I kind of drifted what we're talking about here.
I think I can give you a good example of what, so we grow Roundup Ready silage corn for the cows. So you spray Roundup. Was it a quart per acre? Which is, it's not a lot.
Yeah.
On corn that's 6 inches tall,
Yeah.
but it's GMO seed.
Yeah.
So they want you to trade that for, and we no-till most of our ground, or minimum till.
Yeah.
Like we don't mold or plow. So they want you to no-till, not use GMO seed, but still produce something. And you can't do it.
Yeah.
So if you're not gonna use GMO seed, all right, well, we can grow old school. It's only $100 and something a bag. I would love to buy that instead of $400 bag seed.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna moldboard plow, instead of using Roundup, CPS is gonna come spray atrazine, which stays in the ground forever and is a terrible chemical.
Yeah.
Well,
They're just trading one bad thing for another bad thing, and it just,
But you put the Roundup on and hits the ground and it's gone.
right, but that's because you're a farmer and you know what's going on. To the other person, they say, well, that seed has a mouse eye in it, and that's how they made it, and, the seed company's bad, and they go down this crazy rabbit hole, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't want an
when
answer.
hybrids first came out, I can remember, hybrids came out long before I started.
Yeah.
Whatever I did, but there was suspicion around that too.
Right.
And now you just take that for, of course,
Right,
Yeah.
right, it's,
Yeah.
Okay.
it's never ending, like, the battle of what is important to the public now, I guess.
Mhm.
Well, we want grass-fed beef. Well, we live in New England, so you can't have grass-fed beef. You can have it if you have 10 beef cows and like they follow your chickens, but that's not farming. That's homesteading, and homesteading doesn't feed people. It feeds the people on the homestead, hence the term. But, and it looks great in a Netflix documentary. But in real life, if you're trying, like we grow beef for Smith College. You can't do it that way. It doesn't work. If you live in Kansas, where the buffalo used to be, I mean, yeah, you graze animals because it's giant and open and the grass is rich in nutrients and the protein they need, but not here. So if you want to buy local, what does that mean to you? What are you willing to sacrifice or you have to make some concessions? It's not gonna be perfect everywhere all the time. I think that's what people are searching for.
Yeah.
It's not available.
No, it's
Perfect isn't available.
no.
So, but I think that's all very evident for us to carry on this discussion.
Okay, I'm gonna bring up one more potentially. Something else to discuss that might get us going. And then I'll be done. So when I hear all of this. I think about, okay, so whether you agree with me or not, I believe in the climate science that says that. Precipitation patterns are gonna change a lot, and for us, that'll be. Just a lot of variability like we've been seeing over the last years, but I think there's reason to believe that there'll be a lot of water shortage, drought and water shortage in the southwest and southeast, and that those places will become less able to grow food. And eventually. The farmland we have here in Massachusetts, especially the Connecticut River Valley, will become more valuable again, just become more valuable for farming. Because of what's happening elsewhere in the country, and I don't know the time
Was
frame for
that
this.
100 years ago now?
I don't know the time frame. That's the hardest thing
Right.
about this and making decisions, but I think that personally for me is a reason to keep farmland as farmland and not let it be developed, not to let too much of it be developed or not let it be developed sort of willy-nilly. Because eventually the economics will be back in the favor of growing food here. I'm wondering what you think about that as a philosophy, just of, or like, how you all, because I know, you know, farming. Farmers, their land is their most valuable asset in a lot of ways at this point, and so nobody wants to take away farmers' rights to pass down their inheritance the way they want to. And I guess I'm wondering, like, if you have any sort of comments for me and how I write about farmland protection and the economics of owning land in this. Knowing that that's sort of like where my mind goes.
That's why I put down as farm credit, I said that have a source of farm credit.
Yeah.
To buy land that's $15,000 an acre, is, you gotta have a damn good banker. So. That's just one of the pieces in the pie. So
I think something that'll preserve farmland is demand for things that are produced on that land.
Yeah.
And if there's demand. Then I think someone is gonna farm it, but, certainly if that trails off, I mean, it wasn't too long ago, I mean. People are fighting over land here, and I see a lot of unplanted land now.
Yeah.
But. And, some of it's getting overgrown.
What's that piece? I know it's wet right near, Christian Lane. It's an APR. The, across from, candle factory there. Oh, Skrosky's, right?
There's parsnips in there.
Yeah, yeah, you can see it's all full of weeds. There's parsnips.
They're there.
Okay, I didn't know that.
but that's. So if you got these rain events, then all of a sudden your drainage in their fields becomes something. And you know, the SCES, Soil Conservation Service, they used to spend a lot of time engineering that, so you could. So water can go someplace
Yeah.
rather than hang around, and that's, I think, when all this big equipment, that's been ignored. lately.
Right.
But it's still a basic, yeah, Paul Wineski told me that ditch that runs down the back of his farm comes down Carroll to River Road, all the way into Hatfield, was that every owner, it was his responsibility to keep the ditch open.
Right.
You know, keep the grass out of the ditch so water would flow.
I mean, when was the last time that was dug out?
The ditch is all filled up full, you
Yeah.
know, with ground, it's not, yeah, no, it's, but. So you have to manage your crops through moisture issues.
Yeah.
Negative being irrigation or positive being drainage.
Yeah.
In order to survive.
Do you know, I've heard CISA say that their drainage webinars are their most popular, their drainage ditch webinars are their most popular webinars.
And I would presume Lincoln particularly.
I think a lot of people have a misconception that you can't, like, if you dig a ditch out, you're gonna get yelled at. Someone's gonna complain, you're gonna get slapped around.
Yeah,
And
well,
I'm
if
sure
you
that's
put
not
in a farm,
unfounded,
No, I mean, I think it's, yeah,
Concom versus the AgCom versus,
you just can't put in a farm pond to irrigate out of it anywhere either.
right,
And there's restrictions against that.
Yeah.
You had the right place to put a pond in. Good luck. You have to get. I don't know how many layers of write-offs to do that.
yeah.
Anyway.
And that's Wetlands Protection Act. That stops,
Yes, probably.
yeah.
I mean. I'm just.
Yeah.
They tell you all the regulations, just know that they're there.
Yeah,
Well, it's like a ditch. If you don't maintain a pond, you lose it.
Mhm.
You know, it's a lot easier to maintain something that already exists than to make a new one.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
there is something with, if it's on your map in an NRCS and there's a blue squiggly line, then it's, if it's on their map and it's documented, you can maintain it.
Oh,
Yeah.
huh.
And they may be doing, so the barn we built, we're trying to do the drainage with NRCS. And the engineer asked, they don't call it a pond anymore, it's a rain garden. Something,
Okay.
and he was like, do you want to irrigate out of it? So I don't, basically, you're talking about building a pond, we don't call it a pond, it's a rain garden or whatever. So I don't know if they are, if that's their way of getting around that.
Was that also a mosquito breeding ground?
It was, I don't know if it's because it's water from a roof structure, it may be, but yeah, it's just another. Yeah, he
that's-
said it
that's
with
an
a grin
example
on
of
his
the
face.
Ridiculousness of how it carries,
Right,
because it doesn't goddamn matter what the water is. It's how do you solve the problem.
right.
Yeah, all right, well, thank you so much for your time. If anyone wants to send me comments on this, you could just type, I should give you my email, no, do you think you sent it to everybody? Or can it be in the note?
You can give it to us again,
Okay,
I'll let it on here.
okay.
I'll get that from you. once
Just
you-
give the letters.
Set that.
Yeah, if Tori can send it.
Other than the letters,
What's my email?
yeah.
It's TFLANDERS. Anyone Simpsons fans?
Yeah, the planners.
Yeah. My dad is Nicholas Edward Flanders, the famous character on The Simpsons is Ned Flanders, and my dad grew up in Springfield, Vermont.
Oh, and then what's the rest of it?
At FRCOG.org,
How do you spell Fergus?
FRCOG, no, sorry. FRCOG.org.
.org, it's on the chain.
Okay.
You are on the chain,
Okay,
so.
great.
Yep.
Yeah, so probably,
Look at the maps are on there.
What's the deadline for comments?
great question. Do you guys want a deadline for comments? Sometimes it helps people.
Let's do next year.
Let's do next year, so.
Yeah, maybe like a 6 month, like. Hey,
How about we put it back on the agenda
I was gonna say,
in the fall?
Yeah,
Yeah.
why don't we talk about it?
And, I don't necessarily have to be here, but you can just say, does anyone, like, just a reminder to send Tamsin if you have any comments?
this is just a draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very well done.
Okay, thanks. Yeah,
It's a lot of information.
Yeah, it's good, I just kind of scanned it, but.
maybe what I'll try to do is for, October, November, incorporate all the comments from our conversation tonight, and then you can do any final comments on that.
Okay.
Do you think anyone else wants a copy to read? You get something.
Who's,
Wait,
Eric?
Oh, I can.
You want to give one,
Yep.
one day, there you go, that's a good idea.
Thank you.
Well, I guess we adjourn at 7:40.
Second.
Let's go.